Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
We got you.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're live. All right, it is 6:04 p.m. on Wednesday, October 20th, 2021. This is a Zoom meeting of the regular meeting of the Westfield Flood Control Commission. All right, call to order. Call this meeting to order. Roll call. Mark Goodness.
I'm here, finally.
Jack Leary.
Present.
Al Jaguar, present. Mark Cressati.
Present.
Casey Bruby.
Present.
And Steve McAleb is not here. Let's see. Moving on, public report participation. Seeing no members of the public, can I have a motion, please?
So moved. To move to the next item on the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Moving on.
Do we have a vote?
Yeah.
We have to vote? Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to get there, Jack. Roll call vote.
Okay.
Jack Leary, Mark Goodness.
Yes.
Jack Leary.
Yes.
Al Jaguar, yes. Motion carries. Moving on. Report from City Engineer Mark Cressati. Mark Cressati, you have the floor.
The recording, the takings for Little River Levee have been recorded, and we're ready to be paying off the damages. We've already received some people putting in for their compensation. So that at least puts title under the city, and you can take a look at larger projects and getting that full design underway. And then
Well, you said for the city, are you talking about the city via the Flood Control Commission?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Mark.
It's the season for clearing of the Westfield River Levee. I'm not sure if Lubelczyk has been notified, but certainly it's in his contract. And Al, if you have a chance, please
Yep.
do your magic with him, because doesn't respond to us. So.
Okay, I will see what I can do. In fact, let me take care of that right now. Go ahead, continue, Mark. I'm listening.
I think that's all I have for you, other than what's on the agenda.
Okay, any questions for Mark Cressati?
No, I have a motion to be related to him later in the meeting, so wait till then.
Copy that. Mark Goodness, do you have any questions?
No, he's free and clear this time from me.
Fair enough. Moving on to item 5, report from Department of Public Works. Casey Bruby. Casey, you have the floor.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Mark, nice job getting the takings done. I know it's not an easy effort, and kudos to you for that. With regard to Lubelczyk, yes, he was in yesterday finishing the grooming between the two bridges, so he is complete with his grooming effort, I believe.
But Casey, so his fall grooming, I'm sorry, but his fall grooming, he's supposed to be doing the actual floodway.
Okay. Oh, I
don't believe he's done that,
So you're talking the islands? Is that where you're?
Islands, right.
Okay. I've got a couple of bills that are in process that we can hang on to and try and leverage him for those. But yeah, I know he was just in town yesterday, so I'm not sure where he's off to next. But yeah, we can certainly reach out. I heard from him today, so.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I'll try and get a status update.
Yeah, I'm trying to contact him right now. Go ahead, Casey. I'm sorry.
Beyond that, Al, did you receive our stormwater coordinator's kind of drainage pertaining to Little River?
Yes, I did.
All right, because I know Jack's been hot in pursuit of that. So
yep, and Joe
did
Joe
a pretty good job of kind of. Yeah,
that'll be one of my reports tonight for a motion.
Oh, okay. All right. So beyond that, I don't have anything to report.
Okay, perfect. Any questions for Casey?
Yeah,
Nope, not for
Casey,
me.
when are you going to paint the traffic stripes down Russellville Road? It's getting dangerous at night.
The line painting crew is in tonight. They should be, hopefully that'll be one of the streets they address. But yeah, they are. I've got 2 crews out tonight painting, and it usually takes 2 nights to get most of the long line work done. So they may or may not get to it tonight, but it is we're hoping to get it done tonight.
Thanks a lot, Casey.
right, thank you. Okay. Moving on, item 6, report from Westfield Emergency Management. Steve is not with us, so I'll move on to the next item. And if Steve can join us, I will open it back up to him. Item 7, bills and interdepartmental transfer of $650.47 to the DPW for stormwater supplies for Little River Levee. So I'll go through the
I'm gonna
bills.
make a motion to that,
Hang on one second, Jack.
an
Hold on one second, Jack.
interdepartment transfer of $650.47 to Department of Public Works for supplies needed to stabilize the disturbed areas resulting from tree and shrub removal on Little River Levee. So moved.
Okay. Hold on. Let me finish reading it, Jack.
Oh, I thought you read it already. Sorry.
No, that was just reading the item. So, because there's a couple bills in there. So I've got 300 feet of straw wattle or waffle, $441. Straw bales, $34.47, and grass seed, $175 for a total of $650.47. And that's to be transferred to the stormwater under DPW. So we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion?
I second.
I made a motion, but I didn't hear a second.
Yeah,
I
you just got
seconded the motion.
you just got a second, Jack. All right.
Under
All in favor?
comments, the stabilization is required as a part of the Conservation Commission order of conditions in relationship to the approval for our tree and shrub removal. So this is required. It's
Right.
not something of choice.
Correct.
So we got a second roll call vote. Jack Leary,
Yes.
Mark Goodness,
Yes.
Al Jaguar, yes. Motion carries. On the grass seed, Casey, real quick. I meant to ask you this. You have that in stock now? I can try to come down there and get it and take care of that.
We should have some. I'm not sure if I've got a full bag,
Okay.
but if not, we buy it locally in
Yep.
town, so it's easy enough for us to obtain.
Okay. I'll come down and get that.
Yeah, let me know a good date, day and
yeah,
time, and we'll coordinate that.
I might be able to get that tomorrow before the Mass FM annual meeting. It would be in the morning, but we could talk about it after. I'll shoot you a message.
Okay. Okay, sounds
Um,
good.
Okay, so moving on. Other bill we have is we have a couple bills actually. Second bill we have is for from the Hampden County Registry of Deeds, 50 State Street, Cheryl A. Coakley Rivera. And this is from the engineering department. We have an invoice for $420 for the taking of land and filing, the recording and filing. So the invoice date is
I make a motion to pay the bill.
I'll second it. Can you clarify a little bit what land that was again?
Well, it's the 6 parcels for Little River Levee.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay, I didn't hear those words.
Yep. So I see, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, is this for all 6 parcels?
Yes, so it's
Okay.
the orders of taking, the orders of appropriation, and the plan.
Okay, because I see 2 document IDs on here. So that's why I was curious. It has some other stuff listed here, but only has 2 document IDs. So for order of taking at 105 each. So,
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's for all 6. So again, we had a motion. Who made the motion?
Me.
Motion made by
Mark.
Mark
I
Goodness.
second it. Mark made it.
Seconded. Seconded by Jack Leary. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none.
No.
Roll call vote. Jack Leary,
Yes.
Mark Goodness,
Yes.
Al Jaguar, yes. Motion carries. We'll pay that bill. Moving on to the next bill, we have a bill for $165 from Westfield Gas and Electric. Invoice number 2438509, dated 10/10/21.
I'll make a motion. We approve that bill. So moved.
Okay. We have a
I'll
second.
second the motion.
Motion made by
we're getting gas in there.
Motion made by Jack Leary, seconded by Mark Goodness. Any further discussion? Hearing
Nope.
none, roll call vote.
No.
Mark Goodness,
Yes.
Jack Leary,
Yes.
Al Jaguar, yes. Motion carries. We'll pay that bill as well. So that's all three bills that I'm aware of. Moving on. Yeah, as I shuffle away my agenda. Okay.
Item 8.
Old business. So this is going to be where John comes in. Public hearing for floodplain development proposal, restaurant with drive-through at 453 East Main Street, map and parcel 29R-2, street frontage, Big Y lot between Verizon store and Applebee's restaurant in Westfield. Okay, John, you have the floor.
Good evening, gentlemen. Would you like me to share the screen? I do have the site plans that were prepared. Obviously, not too many people from the looks of it are going to be able to see it, but I'd be more than happy to.
No, you don't have to put it up. Well, actually, you know what? You know what? I take that back. You can go ahead and put it up only because if anyone from the public is watching, they'll see it.
Good point. I wasn't even thinking of that. Let me. I believe I am sharing. These are site plans that were prepared by Bowler Engineering. They were not prepared by this office, so I can only probably speak in broad generalities to the site plans themselves. But as mentioned, the site, it's in the Westfield Shops. It's in the northeasterly corner of the property. As you mentioned, it's located easterly of the Applebee's site and northerly, basically right in front of the Big Y, northerly of the Big Y, proposing a fast casual restaurant with a drive-through. And the site is, it's an existing paved site, as I'm sure you're all well aware. The proposed restaurant and improvements, they're going to be constructing islands to control the flow of traffic. And actually, the end result of all this, there'll be a reduction in impervious on the site. My quick calculations were between 5,000 and 6,000 square feet of islands that will be planted and grassed both around the site and adjacent to the building. There were no stormwater drainage improvements. The plans will reflect a usage of the existing stormwater drainage system on the site. So there'll be no alterations to the plaza stormwater drainage system. And I should mention too, again, we did not prepare these plans. My understanding is that these have been submitted and approved by the planning department. So this is nothing, it should be familiar to the city at large. Getting to probably more of the concern of the commission where before tonight, obviously the site is entirely within the 100-year flood zone. Elevation 132, according to the plans that have been prepared, and a significant amount of compensatory storage was required for this construction to mitigate the effects of the building and the islands and walkways and whatnot across the site. And at this point, I think I may switch to, I guess maybe this would be a good time if anybody had any questions about the site, I would attempt to answer them. But if not, I will just switch over to the comp storage plan that was put together for this.
Okay.
What's the name of the restaurant that's going in there?
That is not publicly divulged. I spoke to the client earlier this evening and they would prefer to keep that, I don't know that there's necessarily one in mind, but it's not for public consumption at this point. So.
Okay, but it's a total new construction.
Exactly.
I thought there was something you referenced that they already had construction on the floodplain.
I believe he was referencing the fact that it's paved, Jack.
Okay.
Yeah,
so this does not exist presently on the floodplain?
Absolutely not. No, this will all be new construction. That is correct.
Okay. And you're going to go into the comp storage in detail in a minute, right?
As much as you would like, for sure.
Okay, I'll wait for you. Give you time. Go ahead.
Fair enough.
Mark Goodness. Sorry, hold on one second, John. Mark Goodness, any questions?
No, he's answered so far, so good.
Okay. I only have one question on the outside storage. What do you guys have for outside storage, like a dumpster, etc.?
Again, not too many people can see, but there is a proposed trash storage area directly behind the building, to the southerly side of the building. So.
Yep. What is that enclosure going to be? Is that a fenced enclosure, chain link fence with concrete anchors?
I tried to get that answer for you because I knew it would probably be of some relevance, and the site plans call out to see the architectural. So I do not have architectural drawings for this. Again, this was submitted and approved by the planning board, but that is not something I have. I do apologize. I knew it would be a concern, but and did my best to try and address it. But I honestly, I'm going to have to punt on that one, unfortunately.
No problem, John. Thank you.
One other question. You said you had planning board. How about conservation commission? Have you talked to them?
I should have mentioned that as well. It was submitted, a notice of intent was submitted last week to the Conservation Commission. I'm not sure when
And their response was?
It's been submitted. We have not gone before the commission yet.
Yep. Right.
Okay.
That is my
Okay.
understanding as well. I would tell you the date, but I'm not entirely sure what that is. So.
Right. And that was the communication that I had said to you earlier. I clarified that with Mr. Resnikoff. It was planning, not conservation, that had approved it. So
that is correct.
Yep. And that was he had misspoke when he said it was conservation and it was planning. So, but that's so sorry. That's my fault, Jack, passing along information. That
no problem. No problem. I just wanted to get the idea of what's happening.
Yep.
And just to be clear, our Levesque Associates involvement did not include any of the planning board submittals or approvals or permitting. We were hired after that, after the fact to do the conservation filing and the compensatory storage work for the client. So.
Thank you, John. Any other questions?
None.
When they get to comp storage, I have some, but not right now.
Yep. Go ahead, John.
Okay, I'm going to bring up the comp storage plan if I can. And that should be displaying shortly, if not already. The site that is being utilized for compensatory storage should probably be familiar to the commission here. It is a site that was utilized for compensatory storage for the construction of the Aldi's that is being constructed a bit, not too far from this site, actually. It's the 0 South Meadow Street property. As you may or may not remember, there was a significant amount of comp storage that was banked, if you will, for the site. Only a portion of it was needed for the Aldi construction, and we are going to be utilizing, this same plan. A small portion actually of the total compensatory storage that was generated from this site. No, not too many of you can see this, but this is the site. It's located on the easterly side of South Meadow Road, and certainly located southerly of the Little River Road, and backs right up to the river. And this, I could bring up the totals here, but this is for the entire site. But I think of more relevance would probably be the totals that are required and for the restaurant construction itself. So I'm going to switch to a little bit a chart that was put together for the notice of intent filing at this point. And I will briefly explain the chart. Elevation intervals that are required for compensatory storage on the site range from elevation 125 up to 132. The building itself only requires comp storage from elevation 127 up to 132, but there is some fairly significant amount below that is required for the curbing and site grading. The numbers, I'm not going to read off the numbers unless anybody particularly cares. The overall, the gross cubic yardage that is required between elevation 125 and elevation 132 is 785 cubic yards. The total and again, I can break it down for these separate elevations if anybody would care to ask, but the total bank surplus, after the Aldi construction was accounted for. There was an excess of over 6,100 cubic yards out of this South Meadow Road site. And following the construction of the proposed fast casual restaurant that we're looking at tonight, that will still leave over 5,300 cubic yards available of banked compensatory storage out of this South Meadow Road site. And I will not bore you with any further regaling about comp storage and elevations unless asked.
Well, I want to review again. You said there was a significant amount of comp storage from something that wasn't used before. I believe it was on Meadow Street. And then
Correct.
You said there's a significant amount of comp storage needed in this project. What is the amount of comp storage that is not included in the amount from the Meadow Street area? What was the added amount you had to go look for, or they had to go look for?
This is all of the compensatory storage requirements for this project will be met by the South Meadow Road site. There were some difficulties in obtaining this. The client was seeking alternate sites, particularly at certain elevations, because they were trying to balance or take from two other sites to meet the total. But ultimately, they were able to come to an agreement with the owner of this, well, actually, the owner of the comp storage, to get it all from this one site. So you're not entirely wrong in that what you said, but it turns out they ended up getting it all from this site.
Okay. Now, how do they check that comp storage 20 years ago was not already given to someone else? What process do they use to evaluate what comp storage is left in a city before they put in their request?
John, if I might real quick. So Jack, just to be clear, this was new comp storage that came up when the Aldi's project was being proposed. I don't know if you remember when Levee had brought the map to us, and it was basically on Little River Levee, just across from Mainline Drive. They had looked like a big rectangle cut out in the bank, and we had a lot of questions for them about that. And this is actually from that. There's a leftover comp storage in there, and that's what John was just speaking to, that it's going to be taken directly from the extra comp storage that's in there. And that extra comp
was approved before. Okay.
Right, and that comp storage has 5,330.05 cubic yards still available in it.
Still available?
Still available, yes, sir. Because it was
after we
overbuilt.
passed what's being proposed tonight.
Yep, I believe that's correct, John.
That is correct. Yeah, we will be only, and again, not breaking it down by elevation interval, but we are taking somewhere back of envelope only about 12% of what was available out there. There's a significant amount of comp storage still available for utilization from this site.
And that
was because when I was on Concom years ago, there was a great difficulty in finding comp storage because it's so limited. And now many years later, we got this great amount. I'm a little lost on how we did that. That's magic.
You find a willing property owner is the short answer, I'm afraid.
Right. There
weren't that many available, willing or unwilling, because they were looking at all the possibilities and approaching them, and many said no. But at that time, there was a limited amount, and all of a sudden, we're hearing this great amount. I'm a little, never mind. I'm just a little confused on how all this magically appears.
This
Okay,
one
that answers my question then.
Yeah, well, this one is not over by Tin Bridge. This is actually over by between Main Line and just off of 20 or East Main. It's in that we talked about it before. There was used to be some kind of park or something back there back in the day. So if you were to go to Mainline Drive and look across, there's like some woods before you get to the East Silver Street, where it kind of dead ends, and it's back there. If I'm remembering where it is correctly. It's in that general area where East Silver Street ends.
Okay.
So, and when the Aldi's proposal was put together, Levesque had spoke in depth about that area, because I had a lot of questions about how it was laid out and how this rectangle shape in the ground came to be. So, and that was a newer development. But I know
I didn't mean to draw. I just pulled up the plan for the comp storage site once again for the few people who might see it.
right. Yeah, it's in that little picture there.
Yeah, I mean, the locus, if anybody can
Yeah.
see it, might give you a better idea of where it's located, particularly in relation to the project site.
Yeah. So if you go down East Silver, take a right, and you go down as you're heading down, I believe that's South Meadow. I forgot what the name of that road is back there by the farms, kind of.
It is off of South Meadow, yes.
Yeah. If Jack, if you were heading behind Columbia Bike, it's in the back down in there,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yep. So
There
to
was-
me, I know the
Yeah, there's an excavation that was done there, and that's kind of where some of that comp storage is coming from in that general vicinity. But anyway, I'm sorry, Jack, do you have any other questions?
No.
All right. Mark, do you have any questions?
No, I know exactly where he's talking about. Good hunt.
Gotcha. All right, John, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
I didn't have too many more, comments to make. I was more, I wanted to give a broad overview. Again, I don't want to get into the weeds here about, elevation intervals and that sort of thing. Clearly the site that we're proposing for the comp storage has, well in excess of what is required. And we're taking, as I said, something between 10 and 15% from that site to allow for the construction, the new construction within the plaza for the proposed restaurant. So,
All right. Well, gentlemen, John, do you have anything else to present? Or is this...
No, and I do apologize. Like I said, I don't have, unfortunately, for our filing, with the commission, we didn't do planning. We would have required, the architecturals for the planning, but not so for the Conservation Commission. So I don't have anything to share as far as the building itself, unfortunately.
Okay. And I know Mr. Reznikoff wanted to come to this meeting, but he has a commitment with his wife who couldn't be here.
Yes, he does apologize. He would have liked to have been in attendance, but we're trying to do our best on his behalf without him. So.
Yeah, and he's been in regular communication with me about this project. So I know it's been kind of a game of phone tag and trying to make all this happen so we don't hold it up any longer than need be. So gentlemen, given the information that we have, does anyone have any final thoughts?
Well, I think if we're going to have a motion to approve in a second and a vote to do such, that we put the stipulation in there that you were mentioning earlier, that anything that's stored outside have fencing around it with a concrete anchor and with locks, which, keys would be available. That should be added because he said they didn't know that at this present time. So we should add that stipulation. So it just say yes, but with this stipulation.
Right.
And you know how to word that better because you did very well at the beginning of the meeting, this part of the meeting, saying what you were looking for.
Right. Go ahead, John.
I was just going to say they may well have been part of, conditioned under the site plan approval. But again, our Levesque Associates was not involved in that. So, and I've not seen a decision. But certainly, I don't think our client would have any issue with that being stipulated.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure we make all the protections in there. And
Understood.
that was pointed out by our chairman, Al, very adequately about stuff that's stored outside. Because if the flood gets heavy and strong flow, it could wash it down, and God knows where it ends up, down toward West Springfield. It could cause problems. So that stipulation must be, if I'm going to vote for
it. And just to add to that, so I know in the past it hasn't and I don't believe it's in our town ordinances, but for the planning. But one of the issues I noticed in projects going forward was outside enclosures for, say, dumpsters and whatnot, outside stuff. It should be something that they prioritize, but I've seen it hasn't happened in projects. And the issue is, like, say, a dumpster as a flood control measure, it should be good practice, and it's, recommended by everyone that, and when I say everyone, I mean Army Corps and other flood agencies, that's dumpsters and such being closed in a concrete anchored fenced enclosure so they don't float away, because they become a floating hazard to bridge abutments and other issues downstream during a flood. And the last thing you want is a dumpster that weighs 200, 300, 400 pounds slamming into a bridge abutment downstream or hitting a dam, and God knows the dam in West Springfield is not in the best of shapes. But anyway, so that's the purpose for that. And I agree with you, Jack. Mark Goodness, any other thoughts?
No, the concrete and steel anchors I agree with. That's very, very true, because if that thing starts flowing, besides going downstream, before it goes downstream, it may go through one of the store windows there.
Yeah, or right through the wall.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the purpose, to keep things like that, storage tanks or other large objects from floating downstream, become a safety hazard.
Yeah, that's not unique, by the way. The Conservation Commission, when I was on there, put stipulations when something came in for a project within a floodplain. One of them was car dealers had to move the cars up to a higher level. They had to notify us who the contact point was, so we'd make sure they get it moved up there. Also, there was stipulations that if something was stored outside, that would be moved inside if applicable. If not, then they would have other things like we just said with the fencing.
All
so
right.
It's not unique. This is very common.
Right. All right. With that, do we have a motion?
I make the motion to recommend that it proceed further to Concom.
With
the stipulation in the motion. Otherwise, it's useless.
In the post, yes.
The concrete, the chain link fence, concrete anchored posts.
Correct.
Okay. Motion is made.
I'll second that with the stipulation that was just said.
Okay. And any further discussion? Hearing none.
Not on my part.
Hearing none. Mark Goodness.
Yes.
Jack Leary.
Yes.
Al Jakir, yes. Motion carries. Thank you, John. I will forward our recommendations on to Mr. Resnick, to the Planning, and to the Conservation Commission, with that stipulation included. And I thank you for your time this evening. And again, I'll pass it on to Mr. Resnikoff, but if you could do so as well, we'd appreciate that.
I will absolutely do that. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
You're welcome, and we welcome the business to Westfield.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night. Yep.
You too.
Bye now.
Okay. I will get that typed up, gentlemen, and I'll try to get that sent off tonight. If not tonight, I'll do it tomorrow and get it done, hopefully by the end of the day. Okay, moving on to item 9, Powder Mill Brook and Armbrook Dam Rehabilitation Project Update. So I did get an email from Carl Gustafson from, he works for one of the contractors for the NRCS. I forgot which, regarding Powder Mill Dam. He sent it to Mark Cressati and myself about making sure that nearby property owners are aware that they're going to be out doing some research into historical and, I believe,
environmental, probably.
Yeah, I don't remember what the other part was. It was historical. I think it has to do with other things. I don't recall. I'm sorry, but it was just about notifying people that they'll be out in the field and in those general areas, and it involves some of the areas that are being looked at for land taking for the project. So they have to do the research for that. Mark, do you know if that was if your office has been able to make those notifications?
No, I don't believe that's gone out yet, Al. We'll take a look at that though.
Okay, thank you. Just so we can let Carl know that it's done, so they don't run into trespassing issues. Thank you. Do you have anything to report on that, Mark?
No, nothing, nothing beyond that.
Okay, yeah, I have nothing new. I think it's just a case of getting prepared. I do want to say that I'm going to be making sending an email / letter to the mayor and city council notifying that we need to kind of get funding secured for this project, because when it comes, it's going to come, and the NRCS isn't going to wait very long to start the project. We've had a couple years since our last meeting, and despite COVID, I don't know how much time will be granted past that. And as this project sits, the longer it sits, all the work that's been done kind of ages itself out, and then we start running into other issues. So the city leaders really need to figure out where we're getting our 35% cost share. I know there was a lot of discussion about ARPA funds, but ARPA, in my discussions with the purchasing department and a few other officials, ARPA funds cannot be used for this project based on the criteria that was set forth by the ARPA guidelines. For stormwater, yes. For flood control, no, which seems kind of crazy, but such is the case. I mean, there is an infrastructure bill that's being put together in Washington, but we can't keep waiting for these what ifs and maybes. We really need to get that together. And I know the city has some funds in free cash right now that might be available if that can be put aside to pay for this, and possibly combined with some other funds here and there. But the city needs to put money aside to do this. And we also need to start moving on the eminent domain issues for both of the projects, because they're kind of hinge right into it. So that's that. Does anyone have any questions regarding Armbrook and Powder Mill Brook Dam projects?
Well, you covered it.
No,
Okay.
I just want to get rid of all the cattails.
Well, you might have a problem with Peter if you start cutting off cattails.
Nah.
Yeah, I know, it's a bad joke. Anyway, moving on. Item 10, Williams Riding Way Flood Control Pump Station Tide Flex Backflow Prevention Valve. So Casey, in our last meeting, you had spoke to this, and I stood corrected with you had the right information. I know Jack has kind of an idea.
I've got a motion to it, and I've also got readings that I got from emails and stuff.
Right.
I've done the research on it, and they're all validated. I'll have a motion when you're ready for it.
Well, if you want to speak to the Tide Flex Backflow Prevention Valve, go for it, Jack.
Okay, the motion is request for our city engineering department to evaluate the operational status of the Tide Flex Backflow Prevention Valve inside a concrete discharge structure on a gravity stormwater pipe located at the flood control pump station. And note the word stormwater is in there. When you're looking for money, remember you said stormwater.
Right.
That's a motion. So made.
Okay, motion made. Seconded by Mark Goodness. Any further discussion?
Yeah, the valve seems to be stiff. In other words, no flex to it. And it's not opening up properly, which inhibits the outward flow from the storm water pipe. Now, that would qualify being a storm water structure for money, but we first got to get the study done. And that's why I'm requesting our engineering department to do that as soon as possible. So moved.
Okay,
I mean, moved, yeah. That's the question.
You already made the motion.
Right.
Mark Crosati, any thoughts to that?
I thought Casey had already made inquiries from the company. I mean, all you're talking about is going to the company to have them evaluate it. So,
well, it's more than that. It's one that the Casey did that along with another personnel, Joe Kittner, and it was between $30,000 and $34,000 if you're going to use a similar system. But it didn't go into the installation. That number was only for the buying of the flex valve. So you got to get a study on. I went down. There's a huge grate is buried in the concrete involved area. It's going to be difficult to put in. What would be the requirements for whoever is a contractor to do such work? It is not a simple thing. It's going to be much more than the $30,000 or $34,000 because of the location and difficulty in reaching it. That was one of the things they pointed out.
Okay, and the idea behind it, Mark, was that ARPA funds could be used to pay for it because stormwater is one of the criteria for those funds.
Yeah, but you need engineering to look at it before construction or repair can be done. I mean, what is the repair required? First of all, the type of pump valve there, is that the most appropriate kind to have? Or are they, I don't know, 20 years ago they put it in? There are much improvements. What would be engineering's idea of what the structure of the facility is? What does it need to be the most appropriate in today's technology? And also remember that is not included in the $34,000. So it needs engineering to look at it. And it's a problem in the Mill Street area when you get a lot of flooding because, you know, it affects the flow. Hello?
Okay. We'll take a look at it, Jack. Again, I don't think ARPA is one of, as I'm understanding it, the funds are for clean water, clean air, not safety improvement. So if you're not improving,
the thing was not necessarily that the money would have to come from this particular money is coming in from the government. It's a problem which is been pointed out by Jeff Gamelli, actually, and I saw it on my phone, a message from him saying it should be looked into, and I'm trying to make sure that we get a motion so we get the action going. So where the funds come from, you know, hopefully it could come from that, but if not, from some other source. But what is the exact status of having a particular pipe system as it is now? Is there a more appropriate with today's technology? And what do they have to do in order, like, what's underneath that grate? I couldn't see. You would have, you know, that information, I would believe.
Right, Jack, hold on, because you kind of walked on what Mark was saying. Mark, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I'm done.
All right. Just to add to that, Mark, so my understanding is that ARPA can be used for stormwater improvements, not just for clean water. So again, it might be an improvement. I believe it falls into that category. It's a repair, but maybe an improvement because the valve does function. It just doesn't function as good as it could. So, I mean, that's a discussion to have, but that's part of what Jack's getting at. You've got to have this stuff looked at and you've got to find a way to pay for it. So,
well, I'm asking engineering to primarily to look at it, see if the design is appropriate, see if that's the best type of system with today's technology that was put in years ago. And it's something that does affect the Middle Street area when there's extremely heavy rain.
Right.
So it's important. And it doesn't, by the way, it doesn't have the elasticity or the flexibility. And so it is not according to Jeff Gamelli, he believes, now the word is believes, that it is inappropriate in the way it functions. In other words, it's not adequate due to the flexibility of the valve.
Right. And Mark, as you know, this was brought up when we had the flash flooding in, I believe it was 2017. This issue was brought up then. So we need to address it because we have another flash flooding event and we have what we had this summer. I mean, 3 strikes and you're out. It needs to be addressed. So.
Well, I think when a city official who has knowledge of the situation puts out a notice to us as members of a commission that it's our responsibility to take appropriate action. And that's what the motion is. The first thing is to have engineering look at it and give us a detailed idea of what it involves, not just the valve, but also the installation. That was what really perplexed them. It seemed very difficult installation process, which they really couldn't tell by looking through the grates.
Right. All right. So, Mark, you say you're going to try to look into it. Do you have a rough timeline?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Well, the key thing he's going to look into and get back to us. I hope as soon as possible, but it's important, I believe, and it's something that was pointed out to us as a problem. It's our, pump
Right.
station. We're responsible for it, so we'd be neglecting our duties if we didn't bring forth a motion to get that done.
Right. All right. So we have a
Right.
motion on the floor, seconded, discussion. Is there any further discussion?
No, not on my part.
Okay.
None on
Mark
mine.
Goodness. Okay. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Mark Goodness.
Yes.
Jack Leary.
Yes.
Al Jaguar, yes. Motion carries. Jack, if you can, when you get a chance, we'll get together and I will try to, I might be able to do it tomorrow, get it from you, type it up and submit that to engineering.
Fine with me.
Okay. Moving on. Item 11, proposed repair of Little River Levee drainage culverts. Okay, so Jack, you have a motion on this, which I have here in front of me.
Okay, that's
if
a
you wanna
long
speak to
letter.
it.
I'll make a motion simpler, and then in discussion, I'll refer to that letter, or give a summary or epitome of that, because it is about 200 and something words.
Yeah, it is.
So I'll
quite
make the
long.
motion first if you're ready.
Yep, go for it, Jack.
Okay, request the mayor to include in the $17 million American Rescue Plan Act funding for detailed engineering study required for repairs strictly for the failing culverts in the Little River Levee. So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded. Motion made by Jack Leary, seconded by Mark Goodness. Any further discussion?
Well, yes. The first thing is I didn't put a figure as far as the cost factor. I think you have more cognizance of what would be more realistic. I know it's not going to be very low. It's going to be high. So
Right.
therefore I want to get you the most accurate. Also, in talking about this engineering study, it's all, I did the research on this, and what I found was all the drainage from the industrial parcels and the street south of Amelia Park discharge into a large swale, some people call it a canal, owned by Mr. Rosella, I believe is the appropriate name.
Yeah, that's I believe that's the name. It's the property. That was the name on the property in the maps that we have.
Right.
Then that stormwater, and that keyword again, stormwater flows, that's what I got from the research, or makes its way through the low section of the levee via or by way of two culverts on its way to the Little River. Into motion.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we had a motion. It was seconded. Discussion.
Well,
Any
there's
further-
more discussion relative to that.
Yeah.
But do you want me to read the whole letter or just give the key parts?
No. Go ahead and give the key parts to it, Jack.
Okay. It says I've already pointed out that flow from the point below the Amelia Park is going into that culvert or the levee and then into the river. It's a safety issue for one thing, because there's a backflow valve which is not functioning that will allow a rising river to flow through the culverts into Ponder Hollows Road long before it would crest the levee. In other words, it will go through the levee, and the levee still is holding the water back other than those culverts flow.
Right.
It needs, and then I said for engineering, well, engineering's not the whole ballpark. You need for detailed engineering study prior to the construction phase of the project. That happens in everything. And the engineering study is going to be quite long and detailed, as we learned in working previously with Ty and Bond. And it's strictly for the culverts, not the levee. So therefore, it's a culvert-related issue. And the Army Corps of Engineers, not in writing but in verbal, have said this is a great or good first step in resolving some of the problems at the Little River Levee. So again, the safety issue, the backflow valve failure, and the Army Corps is along with us that this is a good first step. And the need for the engineering study so you can get the contractor, because the contractor does what the engineering study shows as the way of correcting it and any problems in it. And I think that basically is the main highlights. Again, Al, I didn't put in that letter, and it's a long letter to you to go to the mayor, the cost factor. I'm going to leave that up to you because you're more cognizant of it than I am.
Right. Well, I don't have any good numbers. I have a ballpark number, but not good numbers. And again, we'll hopefully see those numbers sometime in the next couple of months. But at least get this out there and get a ballpark number. And if it's over, it's over. But
yeah, I think you got to put something forward because I don't know how fast the mayor is going to disseminate the money. See, the mayor, from my understanding, is the primary source of who determines where it goes. And as you know, there's an election in November, and I think he's going to do that before the election. So we got to move on this.
Yep.
So I would put a number as approximately blank and give it a realistic approximation, 100,000 or so. I would guess. But again, looking at what we did with Ty and Bond, what their cost was, and the increase and the added stuff we added to it relative to the rubbish safeguard to keep the trees from getting in there, and the concrete head wall that added to it. So it's got to be at least around 100,000 somewhere. But again, you would be more cognizant than I am.
Right.
I believe.
And again, the other things to factor in, which I was looking at, is the costs of everything have gone through the roof. Fuel, energy, employees, the payroll issues, the inflation issues, supply costs versus demand. I mean, there's a lot of other things to factor into the cost. So they've gone up.
The engineering study be done by professional engineers. They don't work cheap.
Right.
And they're more than one. And they have to communicate with the Army Corps of Engineers, the city, the purchasing department, our engineering department, at Needham. And so it's going to be a longer involved process. It could take the whole year.
Right.
Well, we got to start.
And that is a key thing that, there has to be regular communication with Army Corps because they also have to vet it. So
approve it too.
Yes.
So where do you stand on your contract with Ty and Bond to do the culvert evaluation and redesign?
Well, we didn't have a contract with them. We started to do something and it was stopped. And it's been approaching a year since we've done anything with it. So at one of our meetings, you did pop in and popped out. We discussed looking at everything, and we discussed sending it out to the list of city engineering preferred vendors or contracted vendors that the city has, sending the proposal option out to them with the deadline of January 2nd, and Ty and Bond was included. And the thought is that perhaps it'll be a best bang for the buck sending it all out, and no harm or foul to Ty and Bond. They'd already be ahead of the game because they've done a bunch of the work. And based on what we get back, we might see what we need and get a good, what's the word I'm looking for? A reasonable price, the best deal for the Flood Control Commission and, of course, our taxpayers through a little bit of competition, perhaps. So that's kind of where we are. I have to do a little housekeeping with that, and Tammy and I have talked about it back and forth. I have to submit something to her, and that should pretty much tidy it up.
Looking at it, I think the main problem was not with us or Ty and Bond. The main problem was with finances. We didn't have the money, and therefore we had to do stopgap. And nobody wants to work that way, either from the engineering firm or from our commission.
Right, and we're going to run into that again.
Well, not if we get this money.
Correct. If we get the money, then so be it. But we also have to have, something to present. So this will hopefully.
Well, I gave you a whole letter to present.
No.
All you had to do was the amount of money.
I'm not talking about that.
If you got to pull it down, I would say somewhere around $100,000 based off of past history.
Right.
And if there's an added amount, we would have to look for other sources.
Right. Jack, that's not. The problem is, Mark, sometimes you can't hear when somebody's talking, and that kind of cuts out the sound. But what I was going to say wasn't what I was referring to. It was the numbers, the purpose of the proposal, a request for proposal. So that's what I was getting at, not what you wrote. So anyway, that's where we're at.
Do we take a vote now? It's been so long.
Yeah.
I made the motion.
So let's get that out of the way because it's almost 7 o'clock and we all want to watch the debate. So with that, Mark Goodness,
Yes.
Jack Leary,
Yes.
Al Jaguar, yes, motion carries. Moving on to item 12, discussion of the annual Mass FM meeting on Thursday, October 21 webinar. So tomorrow is this meeting. I will be in attendance of it. I don't know if you still intend to watch it, Jack, but let me know. Mark Goodness, did you?
I will get the VA tomorrow. I've got a couple doctor's appointments.
Yeah, you said that might be the issue. So,
Yeah.
Jack, do you intend to watch this meeting?
I'm not sure at this particular time. I have a couple commitments, but I could fit it in. But I don't have a computer.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
I know it was offered to me, but I didn't feel comfortable, going down
Right.
using somebody else's computer they may need.
All right, because I have to register you this evening if you're going to do it. So.
Are you going to be doing what at your house?
Yeah, I'll be watching it here at home. I took the day off for that for that reason.
Would you like a guest?
You're welcome to join me.
Okay, I'll watch it with you. What time are you going to start? Make a note here for myself.
Yeah, I don't remember what time the meeting starts, but I can let you know after this concludes.
Okay, good. I'll go up to your house and listen to it with you. Then
Yeah,
we can talk about it even after.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a few hours, so it's.
Oh, I realize that.
Yeah. So okay. Seeing that, new business, communications. I have no communications at this time unless somebody has something else they want to communicate.
I don't.
Hearing none. Moving on to observations. Does anyone have any observations of anything that's going on, or should be made? The commission should be aware of.
Falling, not my nice cattails and cutting down more and more on the storage area.
Right.
And pump station was looking good when I went down there.
Perfect.
In the Little River Levee, there is some grass that was grown, but we need to get a second seeding to meet the requirements from COMCOM. There has been no erosion problems at that location, even though we had heavy rains.
Right.
And that was just checked out a couple times and very recently.
Right. And Joe Lubelzik did a really good job making sure that area was packed down, but the surface was scraped up enough for the grass to the grass seed that was put down, most of it that didn't wash down, took up root pretty quick. But we'll have to hit it again probably in the springtime too, just to make sure that the grass sets in. And Casey, they're
going to make a check on that. CONCOM will before they give us the final approval. Otherwise, we have to keep the erosion barriers up and keep it.
Right. And Casey, I'm gonna call you in the morning and try to arrange a time. What time do you usually get there in the morning?
Usually around 8 o'clock.
All right, I'll try to give you a call in the morning on your cell and arrange a pickup time and go from there.
Okay.
Let's see.
Now,
yes, sure.
When are you going to lay down the seed?
The seed, I'm going to try to do it ASAP. If I can't get to it tomorrow morning, then I will be doing it over the weekend.
Okay, let me know. I've got the weekend free, so I can come down with spreaders.
Yeah, I've
we got that meeting tomorrow morning. So you just
right. Yeah, it won't take me very long to spread it. I've got a spreader as well, so it shouldn't take me very long.
Okay.
Okay. No other observations. I'm going to call for an adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn, and the time is 3 minutes after 7 p.m. So moved.
Perfect. So moved. Seconded by Mark Goodness. Motion made by Jack Leary. All in favor?
No, you got to do roll call.
Oh yeah, roll call vote. I'm sorry, guys. Roll call vote.
Tired.
Yeah, and I'm also impatient. Roll call vote. Jack Leary.
Yes.
Mark Goodness.
Yes.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Al Jaguar. Yes. All in favor?
Well, you don't have to do all in favor. We just voted.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting. I don't know if you can hear the background. My phone's going crazy. I'm getting all kinds of messages. So With that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And again, as always, Peter, thank you for all that you do for the city of Westfield.